What's going on, everybody? I'm Jordan McKelly.
I'm Mitch Balla.
That's Mitch
AKA
Balla.
Corvette.
And we are the Cover Your Balls crew. Welcome to another episode of Cover Your Balls. We have so much to get into over the sports weekend. Lamar Jackson no longer winless, Mitch. That's right, he's no longer winless. The Cleveland Browns have won a playoff game, and even better than that, did I mention the Cleveland Browns won a playoff game, Mitch?
What's a playoff game?
A playoff game? Yeah, I don't know either. But it's been a huge.
Wait. Are you telling me you can play more football games after your 16th game?
Mitch, it's actually possible if you have a good football team. It's possible. Just saying.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, guys, you know what time it is. It's 4 o'clock, and every day at 4 o'clock, Mitch, you know what we do. We get that top 4 at 4. Mitch, today is top 4 destination spots that you haven't been to yet.
Oh, Jordan, this is just a tough list. I mean, just 4? Because there's plenty of places in this world I have never been. But I had to come up with the 4 best places, so we'll start at number 4, Maui. I'd love to go to Hawaii. Never been there. My mom went there. Our grandma went there. I heard it's a beautiful place, so I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. So I'm going to make it there one day. Number 3, Jordan, and let me tell you this. Number 3 is probably Wuhan, China. I know that they have some really good soup out there. A lot of exotic type of things that they do out there in Wuhan, China. So that definitely is at number 3 on the list for me. Number 2, Mobile, Alabama. Why would you not want to go to Alabama where, the Crimson Tide just won? I mean, I heard Alabama's a great place to go. I've heard Mobile, Alabama's a great spot. Haven't you drove through there, you said?
I have when I went to Hangout Fest. And quick fact for you, Mitch.
All right, hit me with the fact.
Hit you with the fact? Quick fact for you.
Yeah.
Mobile, Alabama actually used to be where Mardi Gras was, and then Mardi Gras got so big that they had to move it to New Orleans. But keep going with your list. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm just glad you brought in that fact. That's why I want to go to Mobile, Alabama. And number 1 is Bora Bora, Jordan. I've never been to Bora Bora, but let me tell you, the pictures I see sometimes, they are amazing to look at. I mean, I could look at pictures from Bora Bora every day, all day, and twice. On Mondays.
Twice on Mondays.
Twice. Because, Mondays can be rough unless it's a victory Monday.
Or a victory Tuesday. All right, I'm going to give you my list because we got a lot to get into. We got a national championship match to get into, and we got the Browns still in the playoffs if you're just coming into this live stream. At number 4, Mitch, I got Yellowstone National Park. I love running outside. You know this. I like doing those stupid runs where you're running for over 100 miles at once. Yellowstone's a great place to run. There's a lot of places to see. That's at number 4. At number 3, I have Flint, Michigan. Not a huge water drinker. And so, if I went to Flint, Michigan, I wouldn't have to take a lot of money with me because I wouldn't have to buy any bottled water. At number 3, I have Hawaii. Anywhere in Hawaii. I don't care if you have to send me to Hawaii in a crate from Ohio like Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones. I am willing. And at number 1, I have Moab. I don't know if you've seen pictures of what Moab looks like, but it's just gorgeous. And I'm all about places like Lake Tahoe and similar places like Moab. And so that is my top 4 at 4, Mitch. Now, let's get into what everybody has been waiting. Well, maybe not everybody's been waiting for this. Maybe for our second segment. Our first segment, guys, is going to consist of last night's game versus the Alabama Crimson Tide and Ryan Day's Ohio State Buckeyes, where, Mitch, Alabama had their way with Ohio State. How? You picked Ohio State, and so did I. How did Alabama dominate this game? What did we overlook when we were going through our predictions?
I don't think we really overlooked anything. I think it's more the fact that Shaun Wade opened his mouth and said, you already know who I want to guard. And Shaun Wade is still trying to guard Devonta Smith, who's back in Alabama. Shaun Wade, Jordan, could he possibly be the worst corner Ohio State's had in the past 5 years?
He might be.
I mean, he's terrible. I don't know who's worse between him and then the practice squad corner on the Browns, number 34 Jackson, because they're both dog shit. That's all there is to it. I'll be nice about it too. That's about as nice as I can put it. We had Tyler Egan tweet the show last night and said he should be in the XFL, and then you chimed in and said that that's an insult to XFL players, and I would agree with you. I don't know if Shaun Wade could play flag football with fifth graders. That's how bad he is. And when you have him on the Heisman Trophy winner, it's not a good recipe. But you know what? Give Ohio State credit. They tried to mix things up. If Devonta Smith can blow past Shaun Wade, why not put someone slower on him, like Tough Borland? That one worked out great too. All in all, I'm not shocked. I picked Ohio State because I'm an Ohio State homer. Alabama was far and away the superior team this year. They might be one of the best teams I've ever seen. Mac Jones is an overrated quarterback still. He's a systems quarterback, but that's a discussion for another time. And yeah, Justin Fields played poor. That's about all you can say. But Ohio State was without 16 players last night still, Jordan. Hats off to the Crimson Tide. 13-0, played a full regular season, and they were the best team from start to finish.
Yeah, is Nick Saban the best coach? Did he cement himself as the best coach ever yesterday, or do you think he still has work to do?
I think he's the greatest coach there is. 7 national titles, I believe, 6 with Crimson Tide, 1 with LSU. So, yeah, he has cemented his legacy. I thought his legacy was already cemented as one of the greatest already. Now I think that you add of how convincingly they were better than everybody this year in a pandemic season where everyone had COVID. And shockingly, Alabama never had it, though. It makes you wonder. Yeah. Really makes you wonder how truthful they are down there in Tuscaloosa. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. We have Bob Dylan coming in saying that loss is on COVID day and the defense. Yeah, not having Trey Sermon, Bob Dylan was huge. I don't know, Mitch, if having Trey Sermon last night, even though he rushed for I believe 524 yards in his last 2 games, which one was the Big Ten championship against a 14th ranked Northwestern team, and the other was against the Clemson. With that being said, the evidence has showed that he was probably going to have a big day against Alabama. He just didn't get that opportunity, and I think that might have been the difference last night. But holy shit, I've never seen a player be unguardable before, but Devonta Smith last night, he was unguardable. He kind of reminds me of Gumby. I don't know if Gumby's too old for you, Mitch, but he's super lengthy, and he looks like he could take any shape or form. I was talking to somebody earlier today, my buddy Maurice, and we were talking about the way he contorts his body to make catches. At one point, I think it was late in the first quarter, Devonta Smith did a 180, and he didn't miss a beat on the ball, and it was just like, hi, boom. And it was just unbelievable, and I've never seen anybody like him. I think he's the best wide receiver I've ever seen in college.
Listen, I never watched Keyshawn Johnson just because he's obviously before our time. Today on the radio, Keyshawn Johnson, who was one hell of a college wide receiver, he was number 1 pick in the NFL draft, said that Devonta Smith is the best college wide receiver he's ever seen. And I agree. In my lifetime, at least from what I've seen, he's the greatest wide receiver I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bob Dylan coming in saying basically second half without the best wide receiver. Oh, yeah. But no doubt. I mean, Alabama was going to win that game regardless. But all I'm saying is I think Trey Sermon narrows that gap significantly.
I think so too.
There was still no answer last night just because of how slow the middle linebacker the linebackers are, period, for Ohio State. It's not a knock on them. They're great tacklers, but you can tell the way they got to become starters at Ohio State were not because of their raw athletic skill. It was because their fundamentals are incredible. I mean, there's a reason Warner, number 20 for the Buckeyes, leads the team. He leads the team in tackles. He was the only person last night who could tackle Harris one-on-one. And even his great tackling wasn't enough a lot of the times. And I saw last night, Mitch, there was this tweet that went out that said, Ohio State's defensive backs can't guard Alabama's wide receivers. And the pitcher was Tough Borland, like 4 yards back of Devonta Smith. By the way, Tough Borland is not a defensive back. He is nowhere close to a defensive back. And, Tough Borland might be tough. I'm sure he's tough, but he's slow as shit. And it was rough. I don't think, that was a rough game to watch. It was one of those games where you kind of want to just forget you watched it.
Oh, I didn't even watch fourth quarter because you know why? I was still exhausted and tired from what I had to watch the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into that here soon. But
yeah,
it was a great listen. They traded blows for the first 5 possessions of the game. Touchdown, Bama, touchdown, Ohio State, Bama, Ohio State. Bama goes up 21-14. And as soon as they held Ohio State to that field goal to make it 21-17, you knew right then and there they were in trouble because it was going to be the first team to get a stop in the red zone was going to go up no matter who it was. And Alabama forced Ohio State to a field goal attempt, and they didn't look back after that.
No, not at all. I mean, we were joking at the house, like, how many points could Alabama score if they wanted to? And they could have, honest to God, if they wanted to, they could have scored over 70 points. It's definitely one of the more dynamic offenses I've ever seen. But I will say, I still don't think that they're as good as the LSU team was last year. I still like that LSU team. A lot of people were picking Alabama this year over them.
No.
But, I mean, they had Justin Jefferson, and Justin Jefferson is he not as good as Devonta Smith?
Jamar Chase, who's the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL draft this year, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then who would you take, Jordan, to build a franchise? Joe Burrow or Mac Jones?
No, I mean, obviously Joe Burrow. I would never choose Mac Jones. Mac Jones is a system quarterback who's throwing to 3 or 4 guys who are potentially going to play on Sundays. That's a big deal. Most college quarterbacks don't have one guy who's going to be all conference, let alone 4 guys who are possibly all Americans, possibly getting drafted in the first round, and being millionaires as 19-year-olds. So, that's what I have to say. Yeah, eek. What? Congratulations to Nick Saban on another national title. I've never seen. I mean, they are the Patriots of college football, Mitch. That's exactly who they are. And
but that means their fall is coming. You saw the Patriots fall this year. That means their fall is coming.
I don't know if that's what that necessarily means, but it could happen. It could happen.
I think it's coming. Hey, Nick Saban can't coach forever.
I would love to see it. Okay. But, it is what it is. But, Mitch, the season's over now, which means we have a way too early top 25 for the 2021 college football season. Let's take a look at it. And, Mitch, who's number 1 this year? Well, it's not a surprise. Clemson.
Not a surprise.
Clemson is number 1. Coming in at number 2 is Oklahoma. 3 is Georgia. 4 is Alabama. 5 is Ohio State. 6 is Iowa State. 7 is the Bearcats. Number 8 is LSU, which I don't know how. They just lost 1 million games in one season. At number 9, North Carolina. Number 10, Texas A&M.
Number 8 is ISU. Iowa State.
No, number 6 is Iowa State. Maybe we're looking at different. I have CBS up. I have Iowa State at 6.
Oh yeah, you have different ones then. We're looking at different ones. That's okay. Our top 5 is still the same.
It is okay. So there are. I didn't realize that there were going to be multiple different versions. Anywho, we have on the outskirts. We have Notre Dame at 11, Florida at 12. Any issues with this way too early top 25?
No, none at all. I mean, I guess your list is different than mine, but you already know who 3 of the teams in the college football playoff are going to be next year. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. We're used to it at this point. So those 3 teams are in. So basically,
I think in Oklahoma, I think that they're.
Right. Well, I'm saying there's one spot to be claimed, and it's going to be Oklahoma, Georgia, A&M, North Carolina. They're going to battle for one spot. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Nice to see Indiana high up there. They'll have their quarterback Michael Penix back after injury, and he was a stud to start the year. Jordan, do you I don't see a team from the Big Ten in my list. Do you happen to have a team from the Big Ten list that would happen to reside in the state of Michigan?
No, it looks like Jim Harbaugh's contract extension did not come with a top 25 ranking.
Did it come with? Does it guarantee them a higher finish than 6th place in the Big Ten East standings?
It doesn't do that either, Mitch. They're in a tough spot. They're just in a tough spot. But
why? I thought Jim Harbaugh was one of the greatest college coaches.
We're going to get into that Thursday on if Michigan should have gave Jim Harbaugh that contract. But something happened over the weekend, Mitch. And because something happened over the weekend that was so big, we have to go ahead and...
Hey, switch it up.
We got to switch it up. Over the weekend, the Cleveland Browns, beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, sending just mayhem into Ohio, something that the Browns don't do usually once a decade. They're doing a little more often. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers twice in 8 days, Mitch. And it looks like fans in Pittsburgh, Mitch, are having a really tough time with this. Do you want to take a close look at what's happening in Pittsburgh right now?
Yeah, so I heard this as well, Jordan, before we get to the soundbite. I was considering Pittsburgh as one of the 4 cities that I'd like to visit. And then, reports came out that we know what happened in the Capitol building last week in Washington, D.C., and there's rumors swirling right now that Pittsburgh is actually about 10 times worse, and we got audio, I believe. You have audio we're going to play of a fan right now live in Pittsburgh.
If you have children listening, we just want to let you know that,
This is not safe for work.
Yeah, it's not.
I fucking had it, bro. Fucking bullshit, bro. I fucking had it. I fucking had it. Fuck you. Fuck you, Pittsburgh. Seriously, dude. Fuck this shit, bro. You know that fucking Baker Mayfield do this shit to you, bro? What the fuck? Go 11-0. 11-0 and you fucking do this shit. Are you fucking kidding me? You fucking...
Ooh. Man. And it sounds like people are still screaming on the streets. Man, it is rough in Pittsburgh right now.
And Sean Wade just got beat again. No, by the mailman this time. Wow, that's insane. Wow.
Well,
so bad day to be a Pittsburgh fan and Sean Wade, Jordan.
It is. Yeah, a 48-39 win by the Browns. That is also like one of the most unique scores. I don't think a score has ever ended like that. That's one of the unique scores of all time.
It was a scoregami. It was indeed a scoregami. First time ever in NFL history.
Not only did the Browns have a scoregami versus Pittsburgh, but the Bills went out and defeated the Colts. The Rams took care of business in Seattle. The Bucs are still rolling, setting up a matchup for the Bucs versus the Saints this next week. It is going to be, we just have a lot of crazy matchups, and we're going to preview those 2 AFC and NFC games, Mitch. But first, let's react first to Pittsburgh Steelers. A Pittsburgh Steelers team that is a bunch of sore losers right now, Mitch. A lot of sore losers out there.
Yeah, very sore. Jordan, I'm still worried as a Browns fan. I'm just waiting for them to get their well-rested Ben Roethlisberger, Cam Hayward, Marquise Pouncey, TJ Watt. I'm waiting for all those guys to come back. Because remember, when we won in Cleveland, we only won because those guys were resting. So I'm a little worried. Wait, hold on one sec. Yeah, Mom? Oh, they played? Oh, wow. They all played, Jordan? All those guys that rested 2 weeks ago in Cleveland, they played this past weekend.
All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
But wait. That doesn't make sense, because all I heard from Steelers fans was you only won because Mason Rudolph started. And you only won because Cam Hayward and TJ Watt weren't playing. Wasn't that what I heard? Didn't you hear that too?
That was the word, as they say on the streets. That's what they say. That's what they've said. That's what they've been saying. Yeah.
Well, maybe they should have put Mason Rudolph in. They probably should have stuck with Mason Rudolph, because Big Ben, glue factory. That's all it is, the glue factory.
It is. Mitch, can I share something with you?
Absolutely.
Let me share something with you. Let me bring a close up on my face. I think this is really important for everybody to see my face during this moment. 487 days ago. Well, it's actually 480, 487 days ago, the Browns played the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they forced 6 turnovers. And that was on September 9th, 2018. 6 turnovers, Mitch. And we still tied the Pittsburgh Steelers. We forced 6 turnovers, and we tied the Pittsburgh Steelers 21-21 on September 9th, 2018. Well, Mitch,
I was there.
I know. I was there too. And guess what, Mitch? A couple days ago, 487 days apart from games versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Browns forced 5 turnovers and beat the Steelers by 11. See, what's been happening, Mitch, is the Browns are obviously the Steelers' little brother, and the Browns have been hitting puberty. And what happens when you hit puberty, Mitch? Voice gets deeper, balls are dropping, you're spending a little too much unattended time maybe with the bathroom door locked, your bedroom door locked, you're just figuring out life at 16 or 17. And that's how I feel like the Browns have been. They've just been kind of figuring out life. And the Steelers haven't really checked in on their younger brother. The Steelers have beaten the Browns while playing terrible games for years. They haven't had to play good against the Browns. And so they lost sight of where their little brother was in the pecking order. And, it happens to the best of us. And I cannot believe people like Chase Claypool and all these other players like Sammy Watkins from the Kansas City Chiefs are already talking this mess. A lot of good things happening in Cleveland. And let me tell you what, we were not supposed to be here. And we're playing with a bigger chip on our shoulder, and I expect the Browns to actually win in Kansas City. And I understand how good Kansas City is, Mitch, but let me tell you what. It's a one-game season at this point. I don't care what your record is. It didn't matter that the Steelers won the first 11 games this year. All that mattered was that game on the field Sunday night on primetime football. And the Browns took care of business, and I expect them to keep taking care of business against better opponents because I believe it is their year.
The Browns is the Browns.
What a dumb thing to say.
Browns is the Browns. Well, all I can say is Doo-Doo Smith Poopster, as I call him, because that's what he is. Thank you for opening your mouth. Thank you for giving bulletin board material to our team. Chase Claypool, you're a bitch. That's all there is to it. Like I've never seen, and then you try to break down film. Yeah, okay. The guy guarding you last week, he bagged my groceries at Walmart. Everybody knows that, okay? And you still weren't the leading receiver on your team? Like, what if you're going to talk that mess? Surely you should have the most receiving yards in the game or on your team. Ben threw for 500 yards. And, Claypool had 5 catches for 59 yards. But he wants to break down film over a practice squad corner. Yeah. Okay, buddy. Keep crying. Look, I get it. You realize that you're not the best wide receiver on your team. You realize that you guys lost to the Browns. And the Browns is the Browns. This is the new Browns. So thank you.
Yeah.
And if you know who you are out there, Browns fans, you're welcome. From me. Sincerely, you're welcome. And Browns are going to get clapped in Kansas City. That's all I got to say.
He goes on TikTok after the game, Mitch. He has the nerve to go on TikTok Live. And I when I was watching this video, I've met people like Chase Claypool in my life who just feel so entitled, and they speak as if they're a better human than you, and that's the vibe I get from him. And it's not just the vibe. He's showing his phone while somebody else with another phone is taping him, trashing a guy who literally was on the Browns practice squad. So you could only have 5 catches over a guy who was on the practice squad. All of Big Ben's throws were garbage. I mean, he had 68 throws to throw for 500 yards. 68 throws. 68.
I wish he would have.
And
I wish he would have had at least one more.
And he had attempt. He had 5 catches. Man, Pittsburgh is really going to have to do some soul searching in the offseason, talk to some of their younger guys because, I don't want to build a franchise on people like Chase Claypool and Juju Schuster. And it's not because it's not because of their lack of ability, but it's just because they do not know when to close their mouths. Don't give people a reason why to show up to work. Most people come to work in every industry in America, Mitch, and they have no why as to why they're there. A lot of people don't have a deep why, right? Like some people have God, family, football, and they really believe in that. Some people don't believe in that, but they're still at that level. So why allow other people to come into a game and have a why who don't really want to be there? Like, you're giving the Browns a reason. They were playing Corvette and dancing right after the game in the locker room. Don't give teams a reason to do that. The Steelers have a lot of work to do in Pittsburgh, and I don't think they understand how much work they really have to do because they're really going to have to deconstruct a lot of what they think, and a lot of their best players, like Cam Hayward, getting a little older. They do have TJ Watt. I love TJ Watt, but I think he is overrated like we've talked about. And obviously they had key injuries, but, I'm not going to get into that because every team has injuries by now. If you don't have injuries and you're not beat up, in week 18 or 19 of the NFL season, then you haven't been playing football correctly. So Browns roll at Heinz Field.
Yes. Yes, they do. And I don't know if other people did what I did. On Monday, I celebrated. Monday morning, I listened to the Cleveland radio, and it was a party. It was a damn party. But, we have breaking news, Jordan. I'll go ahead and let the people know right now. Breaking news, according to Mitch Farnsworth, Shaun Wade just burnt his finger on the stove, and it continues the trend of being burnt this week. Wow, just a tough scene for Ohio State and real tough scene for Shaun Wade. You have to wonder if that burn on his finger now is going to lower his draft stock, Jordan. Don't forget, this is a surefire top 10 pick before the season started. Right now, I'm not sure who I'd rather see on the field between Shaun Wade and Greedy Williams, who doesn't even know what a football field is. Back to my point, though. I listen to Pittsburgh radio.
Do you?
I wanted to get a feel on what these guys were going through. Jordan, you had media calling for Ben to retire. You had media calling for Mike Tomlin to be fired.
To be fired.
You had people to be fired. Yeah, not just like fired, like get out of Pittsburgh.
A coach of the year candidate.
Correct. You had somebody say that TJ Watt is the most overrated player in football, and there was actually proof that same person had said how TJ Watt was the best defensive player in football only 4 weeks ago. So they overreact a little bit, but at the same time, I don't think there's a whole lot. Mike Tomlin should not lose his job. However, he has lost control of the locker room, but we've seen this before with Antonio Brown. Apparently, Mike Tomlin doesn't know how to handle wide receivers. So that must be his downfall. Ben Roethlisberger is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He will be in my backyard within 6 years after he retires, and that being Canton, Ohio. But you know what? Maybe the Steelers is the old Browns.
Maybe, but probably not. Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in the league, and I will say this. It may not be Mike Tomlin as much as it is just this new era and this new NFL player. A lot of people want to put their brand before football. I think a lot of these players, Mitch, forget that it's a job, and so you have certain requirements. Like you want to be as respectful as everybody at the workplace. A lot of football players, I don't think they see it as necessarily a job, which is good, kinda. I feel like it needs to be 50-50 because it's I don't like this players some of the that they don't need to say. It's only hurting themselves. And I'd either do that or get somebody who can monitor some of the things some of these younger players say, because it's bizarre to me that out of all places this would come out of Pittsburgh. Well, let's transition. Mitch, a lot of games this Saturday and Sunday. One of the more interesting games this weekend, Packers versus the Rams, and of course the Rams are going to Lambeau Field. I haven't checked the weather report for that yet, but that is a Saturday game at 4:35 p.m. What are you looking for in that game?
Well, the weather right now in Green Bay looks like cloudy with a chance of Aaron Rodgers throwing the football around, Jordan. And what I'm looking for, Devonta Adams versus Jalen Ramsey. 1A corner versus 1A wide receiver. It is going to be so much fun to watch that matchup. And then which Aaron gets the W? Aaron Rodgers or Aaron Donald? We saw how legit the Los Angeles Rams defense can be when they went to Seattle this past weekend and dethroned Mr. Unlimited, or should I say Mr. Limited, being Russell Wilson, because he looked pretty limited to me. DK Metcalf proved he's only able to run a streak. That's it. I don't know what else to tell you. And Jordan, for some reason, there's nobody talking about it. What the hell happened in Seattle? We went through the first 6 weeks of Russell Wilson, let Russ cook, MVP, to, oh my God, are the Seahawks the team to beat in the NFC, to, oh my God, they just got sent home by a quarterback that went to the hospital after one drive, and Jared Goff, who had surgery on a thumb. So that's a question for when the playoffs are over. But what the hell's going on in Seattle? But Listen, the Rams, you have an offensive guru at head coach in Sean McVay, and the best defense in football, maybe?
Maybe, possibly. I think it just might be.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Lambeau this week. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the MVP of the league right now, so did he benefit? He is older. Did he benefit from the rest? Or are the Packers going to come out and look rusty? And are the Rams going to be able to take advantage of that? It's going to be a really good game. What about you?
Yeah, man, this is a tough game for me because if the weather gets nasty, I think I like the Packers. But, man, the Rams defense is playing so well right now, and I just would hate to go against, defense typically wins championships, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with I think Thursday when we go and when we finally pick, I think I'm going to go with the Rams, but I'm going to wait a little longer. I'm not really sure on that. I know a lot of people in the chat right now. We have some Rams coming in, and we have some Packers comments coming in, but I'm really not sure. If Aaron Donald can make an imprint on this game, then, I think we both know who's going to win. So, yeah, it's my thoughts on that. I haven't really thought that game out as much because I'm still diving into these other games. Let's get into them.
Well, and Jordan, quickly before we move on, we have our weather report now, courtesy of Mitch Farnsworth. 30 degrees, 21 real feel with the wind chill in Green Bay on Saturday.
21 with wind chill. Yeah, I was looking for snow. If it was going to be piles of snow, maybe it won't make a difference. But, the Rams coming out of Los Angeles, you have to think that they're not used to those conditions. It's kind of like when I'd go to these cross-country and track meets, and we'd show up at some of these races that are just the worst weather ever. And a lot of people don't run well in bad weather. That gets in their head. It's the same thing for professional athletes at that level too. Some bad weather, that can get in anybody's head. The sport is, what do they say, like 80% mental, 20% physical. I don't know. There's a lot of people throw out a lot of different ones, Mitch. But, yeah, I think weather, I guess it's not going to have as big of an impact as maybe I thought it was going to have. But looking at the Saints and the Bucks, this is probably the biggest game of the week for you, and it might be the biggest game of the week, period. You're a huge Drew Brees fan, and they're hosting a game against Tom Brady and the Bucks for the third matchup this year, and they're going to be doing that on primetime Sunday at 6:40. Mitch, how you feeling about the Bucks going to the Saints right now?
I'm confused because I was told the Saints weren't getting past the Bears. So
I don't know who said it.
Does that mean they beat the Bears to get here, right? Correct?
They did beat the Bears. They did beat.
Okay, and that was the second time. That was the second time. So they've beaten them twice now. They've already beaten the Bucks twice this year, but I'm sure that I'm going to hear it from all the Drew Brees haters out there, all the Saints haters. And that's okay. It's okay. Just keep hating. Keep hating greatness, as you see right over my right shoulder. This beautiful black and gold jersey with a Hall of Fame quarterback. I'll say my prediction for Thursday, Jordan. It's going to be a great game. Tom Brady, can he finally beat the Saints in Tampa, or is he going to go 0-3? It's going to be great to see. It's going to be a great game. That's why it's in primetime spot on Sunday. And until then, we'll have to wait and see. But all I know is the Saints got past the Bears after a lot of people told me they wouldn't.
Let me tell you what.
They did it on Nickelodeon too, by the way.
They did.
There was slime all over the place. SpongeBob was between the uprights.
Yeah, there's only one thing worse than losing an NFL playoff game, and that's getting slimed on Nickelodeon while doing so. Rough loss for the Bears, but let's be honest, they didn't deserve to be in the playoffs anyway. And we're going to see what happens with Nagy after the season here, and Mitch Trubisky. They have a mess at quarterback in Chicago still, even with Mitch Trubisky playing a couple good games towards the end. He's done that his whole career. New Orleans still only winning by, what they win by 12? Was it 9-21?
They did, and however, they were the only favorite to cover.
They were, but they need to figure out how to get their offense rolling. I understand that Chicago is a very good defensive team, and they can be, but you have to score more than 21 points. And the Saints should be a little nervous of playing the Bucs, not just because they're playing them for a third time, Mitch, but because I think there's a little more cohesiveness here. I mean, you've seen, I think AB has caught it's either 2 games in a row or 3 games. I think it's 3 games in a row with a touchdown pass. Rob is really involved with the offense. It looks like Bruce Arians and Tom Brady are working together to, create the best game plan. And I think they're both putting their egos aside. I still like the Saints right now in this game, even though I would love to see Tom Brady go back to the Super Bowl. But we're gonna have that game's gonna be rough to watch because if the Browns game doesn't go well, I might not make it to the 6:40 game, Mitch. I might have to watch that game on replay.
Oh, well, that's a good point. Well, the Saints will win this game for sure. This isn't my projection. If someone doesn't get in the game, Jordan, is I texted you Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Why the hell does number 7 for the Saints still play?
I
can't
know.
even say his name.
What?
I can't even say his name.
Taysom Hill. I don't.
He's terrible.
He's not terrible. So let's.
He's not. Why is he trying to throw? Why here? He's a wide receiver. He's a wide receiver that can run the football. Why is Sean Payton calling these deep balls with him?
Mitch, you drinking before 4:00 again on a weekday? You drinking again?
It's Victory Tuesday.
There's something you need to tell everybody. Because Taysom Hill doesn't suck. Let's get before Taysom Hill took over for Drew Brees, we thought Taysom Hill was probably the most efficient gadget guy ever.
Not me.
Oh, come on. They were plugging him in, and he was playing remarkable. I thought he was playing remarkable in the plays. How hard it must be to come in every 15 minutes in a game, play for 1 snap, then get off the field. I don't think people understand how hard it is to do that. And that's why I don't like when he comes in certain situations. I don't like him passing the ball in that situation. Not right now. I didn't like the call, but they need
that's what I'm saying. Okay.
They need to continue to use him though. Do you not agree with that?
Run the ball. They can use him, but I swear if I see him in the shotgun dropping back to throw a deep ball again, I might be like that fan in Pittsburgh that took anger out in his TV. Okay, maybe not that extreme, but you get what I'm saying.
And I get what you're saying. I'll tell you this: they're gonna blow up the Saints team if they lose this game. That'd be 4 years in a row. For the last 4 years, I've had to hear how they have the best roster. Well, if they have the best roster, how haven't they won a playoff game? They've won 1 playoff game in the last 4 years. How do they have the best roster? I don't want to hear the best roster anymore. I can't stand that. You either get the job done or you don't get the job done. That's what it comes down to. And so I hear Sean Payton, and I've talked about how he's a great coach. If he doesn't win this game, I don't know how great Sean Payton is anymore. He's great if you want to. Even Marty Schottenheimer got fired at one point for going 14-2. Winning games in the National Football League is not always enough. Okay, you need to win the games that matter. Sean Payton has not done that in a long time. This is a must-win game for the Saints. It's a must-win, Mitch. They need to win this game. And we have comments coming in. We have Tyler saying Brees can't throw that far. Dude has a noodle. Yes, he does have a noodle arm. You are 100% correct. It's not something Mitch wants to hear. Mitch is still in the stage of denial, guys. So, we all go through the stages. Not the same time.
That's wild though, because against Kansas City, somebody texted me that Drew Brees couldn't throw further than 10 yards, and he ended up throwing a 40-some yard pass down the field to Emmanuel Sanders. Huh. So let's keep it up. Let's say Drew Brees can't throw it all.
That's because he stood on.
Drew Brees.
Go ahead.
Because he what? Huh?
You didn't see those 2 linemen pick him up like one of those athletic cheerleaders and to throw the ball? That's why he had all that arc on it. He can't even see over his offensive line. He's lost a foot since he's gotten the league. He's like 4'10" now.
I'll make sure that Drew plays defense this weekend too, because apparently, if the Saints put up 40 points, they lose 41-40. God forbid, it's Drew Brees' fault. Even if he went 29-29 with a perfect pass rating, it'd be his fault apparently, according to everybody else. So
it won't be. It'll be a low-scoring game.
It's like miracle in Minneapolis. Drew Brees forgot to tell Von Bell to tackle Stephon Diggs. That's on Drew Brees. The no pass interference call against the Rams, that's on Drew Brees for not throwing the flag. Yeah, I keep forgetting all this. Shoot.
Here's the deal, Mitch. There's a lot of plays, and then there's 60 minutes. So you don't get to pick one play and boil it down. You don't get to do that. There is no what ifs. If my uncle had boobs, he'd be my aunt, Mitch. Okay? You don't just get to say, well, what if I had 4 arms and I was an octopus? No. There is no what ifs. There is no. Those things happen.
Oh, there would have.
Those things happen. Drew Brees had the opportunity to never get to that point. It's his fault.
That's a lie in Minnesota. That's a complete, flat-out, absurd lie, and with all disrespect, you're wrong. What is Drew Brees supposed to do under a minute? You need to go get a touchdown. So what did he do? Do you want him to take a knee and then throw a touchdown? Yes or no?
Well, how about
it's yes or no?
Don't be down by – be up late in the game. You don't have to go on a game-winning drive if you're already winning.
So they were. So Minnesota scored. So is that Drew Brees' fault that Minnesota scored?
No,
yes or no? Yeah.
I don't know what he's saying to him on the set. Hey, maybe he's discouraging his defense on the sideline, and the defense is throwing the game because they don't want Drew Brees to win. Hey, I don't know. All I'm saying is this. There is some accountability for Drew Brees because he played in those games and he had an opportunity to put them away. He didn't, and when you don't put games away, sometimes weird plays get to decide the entire game. So take care of business.
What he has to do to put the game away. When he's trailing, gives them the lead. Minnesota retakes the lead a few years ago. He drives them down under a minute, gives them the lead again. So did you want him to kneel the ball and waste more clock? Twice he brought them back. That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know.
He's lost 3 out of his last 4 playoff games. Actually, 4 out of his last 5 because he would have had to lose before he lost in the first round that other time. Hey, let's get into some other games. Let's get into some other games here. We do have the Chiefs at the Browns. That's right. It's not a home game at Arrowhead anymore. They flipped it. Nope. We are actually going to Arrowhead for that game. It's the Browns at the Chiefs. That's going to be Sunday at 3:05. Setting up the Saints-Bucks later on. Mitch, how do you feel about this Chiefs-Browns game?
I'm glad the Browns won. If you want me to sit here and tell you we got a chance, I don't know what to tell you because we don't.
All right. Well, I definitely think we have a chance. I think we're going to win this game. In fact, I think Sammy Watkins already started a trend that I like, and that is to give us an opportunity to play the underdog, which Cleveland and Ohio in general does better than anyone else. If we can run the football, everybody thinks Kansas City is an untouchable team, and I really don't believe they are. It's not Browns bias. It's not me being a homer. I think I would feel this way. I think that the Ravens could beat Kansas City. I think the Bills could beat Kansas City. And I think the Browns can beat Kansas City, frankly. And if they can limit turnovers, they have a chance. That's what it comes down to. Kansas City is not that much better than the Cleveland Browns. They didn't even have a coach this week, and they went into Pittsburgh. They took the game serious, and they put it away. They put it away from the beginning. Momentum is a son of a bitch, and if you're on the wrong side of the tide, you can get rolled over. That's what happened to the Buckeyes last night, and that's what might happen to Kansas City on Sunday. I actually like the Browns in this. I don't know what the line is yet. I haven't checked the line, Mitch, but
10.
It's 10.
Yep.
I really like the Browns on that line. My record versus picking the Browns is I think I've picked 2 games wrong, which it's easy to pick a lot of games right when the Browns aren't losing. I'll tell you that. But I think they cover that right now. I think that's what's going through my head. A lot could change before Thursday. A lot would have to change before Thursday for me to pick Kansas City over the Browns. I like the Browns in this game. We won't get too much into this because we got into this later on, but we'll review that Thursday. We also have a game that I will 100% be watching with double fisting Moscow Mules in both of my hands. The Ravens at Josh Allen's Bills. Yeah, that's right. The Bills who have Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, Sean McDermott. It's a real football team. And Lamar Jackson, hot as hell right now, going into Buffalo at 8:15 on Saturday night. Mitch, how do you feel about the Baltimore Ravens going up north to play the Buffalo Bills? Well, I guess it wouldn't be up north. It's kind of just horizontally across, but they're playing Saturday night. How do you feel about the game?
This is going to be the best game of the weekend. It's by far the best game of the weekend. You're talking about 2 prolific offenses, one that does it through the air, and their best running back is their quarterback. And then you have another one where their best quarterback is their running back. So it's going to be crazy to see how it stacks up. I think it's going to be high scoring. It's going to be electric. Lamar Jackson finally got off the schneid and got his first win. Josh Allen balled out against the Colts and Phillip Rivers. That was a great game too. But this could ultimately be who has the ball last. That's what this game could come down to. Or I could totally see Buffalo running away with this. Not even close. Because historically, when Baltimore gets behind and has to throw, they don't do a very good job at coming back in games, Jordan.
You're 100% right. And that's why I'm going to give you the keys to how Baltimore can beat Buffalo. Double down on your run. There's a entrepreneur, you know him, I know him, a lot of people know him. His name's Gary Vaynerchuk. He always talks about tripling down on your strength. Now, how that might not always be the best advice. The Ravens need to double and triple and quadruple down on Lamar Jackson running the football. I don't care if the Buffalo Bills know which play you're going to run. I say commit to the run harder than you've ever committed to the run. Because honestly, even if they know Lamar Jackson is running a QB-designed run, that doesn't mean they can stop him. Everybody knew where Michael Jordan was going to on the floor for his shots. That doesn't mean they could stop him from shooting the ball and making the shots. It's hard to stop the great ones, and I don't think I've never seen a player slicker on the field than Lamar Jackson. Last night I saw Devonta Smith. He's pretty slick on the field. I've seen the Michael Vick experience. I remember his commercials, but I have never seen anybody quite like Lamar Jackson. If they double, triple, quadruple down on the run and they commit to it, and they stay true to their identity, I think they have a shot versus Buffalo. On the other side of that, if Baltimore does not stop Josh Allen early on in this game could get ugly quick. Because you're right, Mitch. You brought up a great point. And it's a factual point. It's not your opinion. It's a fact. Lamar Jackson, statistically, once he gets behind in games, is a different quarterback. And you can't be a different quarterback in the playoffs. You need to be at your best. And not just at your best, you need to be better than at your best. And if the Bills get up by multiple touchdowns early, that is not a recipe for success. And the Ravens could find themselves looking and staring down at a long deficit if they let Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, and that offense roll early. And don't forget that they actually signed a player at running back, I believe, this morning because Moss got hurt. Who's that guy, Mitch?
Devonta Freeman.
Devonta Freeman, who played for the Atlanta Falcons. I can't believe that he wasn't good enough to continue to play in the league because I've seen a lot of... He was
on the New York Giants for a little stint.
I know,
past season,
I know,
sure.
but they had to pick him up out of somewhere, which means he wasn't currently on a team. But it just shows how quick you can go from being at the top of the pyramid as a running back to the bottom real quick. Violent position. Go ahead, Mitch.
Well, do you know how old Devonta Freeman is?
How old is Devonta Freeman?
I'd like a guess. Or do you know what year he was drafted?
I'm pretty sure he's like 33. He's an older guy, right?
No.
Is he 22?
He's not. No, he's not 22. That's a little too young. A lot of people like him young. And when it comes to NFL running backs, you really like them young because they have a short shelf life. But, Jordan, he is 28.
He's 28. I just assumed he was really old because you said that. So I was just, when anybody ever does that, I exaggerate my guess and go way above it. But that sounds just shows that the shelf life for running backs.
Right. 28. Shout out to Shane Kelly for having this information earlier when we were talking about him, and was drafted in 2014. Mm-hmm. And here we are. He had a great career with the Falcons, and then he goes to the Giants, and he's a free agent again. Just really crazy how quick it can change on a running back. It just,
remember,
you could be Trent Richardson.
I got one better for you than that. Go ahead, finish that though. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Trent Richardson breaks the greatest running back of all time's rookie rushing record, and then he's out of football in 2 years.
Got one better. His name's Peyton Hillis, and he was on the cover of Madden. Peyton Hillis was on the cover of Madden, and here's a fact for you guys. You know who Peyton Hillis played with at Arkansas? Darren McFadden was one of his running backs, and gosh, what was the other one? Was it? Oh my gosh, Darren McFadden. I can't think of the other one. Anywho, Felix.
No,
Felix.
Keep talking. Okay.
No, it's Felix. I can't think of his first name. Felix Jones. I believe. That Arkansas team had an incredible backfield. Anywho, yeah, I was just bringing up Peyton Hillis because that is one of those quarterbacks. Hey, guys, if you haven't subscribed or liked this video yet, please do so. A lot of our views come from people who aren't subscribed to Cover Your Balls. So if you haven't subscribed or liked this episode, please do so. All right, guys, in the chat, we have a question for you, and I have a question for you too, Mitch. Go ahead.
I wanted to make sure I heard you right before we get to this question because I know what's coming up.
Okay.
You said it's hard to stop the great. There's no stopping the great ones, right?
I mean, not completely. No, you try to slow them down the best you can, but no.
Okay, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. So that now you go ahead.
Okay. Cool. Mitch, which player over the weekend had the most impressive weekend?
There's a handful of guys to take. Handful. I mean, my God, you could pick somebody from every game. You could sit here and pick Josh Allen. You could sit here and pick Lamar Jackson. I could say Tom Brady. It's just which way do you want to go? I mean, even if you want to take someone that lost, you could say Taylor Heineke for the Washington football team. A guy that nobody had ever seen play before, and he played his heart out. I'm sitting here trying to figure it out, and I figured out it's not Derrick Henry. That's who it's not.
Not Derrick Henry?
No, because the great ones you said usually aren't stopped. And Jordan, he was stopped. He was held in check. I mean, it was actually embarrassing. He was even on the field. So it wasn't Derrick Henry, and that's why Josh Allen's better than Derrick Henry. But I'm gonna go with their hometown team and give somebody some love that has not gotten any love, and it's Cody Parkey. Cody Parkey went 8 for 8 this weekend.
He did.
Do you guys understand? He made 8 kicks in a row. We 8 in a row. Cody Parkey is notorious for not even making 2 in a row. So for the Browns, it was Cody Parkey, Jordan. And then if you want a real answer here, it would have to be. It would have to be the one and only Drew Brees because everybody counted him out.
That's what I think about that. Drew Brees. Are you serious?
Well, listen.
The Saints put up 21 points this weekend.
Against the top 4 defense.
Oh, man. Oh, ooh, guys.
I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly earlier. A couple weeks ago, if you haven't heard it, you can go back and listen. I believe it was episode 14. Where you were saying how Derrick Henry is better than Josh Allen. He's had a better year. He's more valuable to the team. And I just would like to point out that Derrick Henry didn't show up in a big-time moment for his team, was an ultimate letdown. And Josh Allen, they're going to throw the ball in the air. And Jordan, he was still successful this week.
What? That's your take? Hold on here. Hold on. What? He has the ball in his hands every play, Mitch. Of course. Derrick Henry's... I said Derrick Henry had the more impressive season because he did. Derrick Henry almost had as many rushing attempts as Josh Allen had completions for the season. That was the question, was a more impressive season. Okay, now, 2 completely different positions, hard to pick from. But I'm not going to let you just slide that in there, right there. I don't like the way you did that.
I'll wait for it. I already have enough to rebuttal. This is perfect. I just want to make sure that people get what they want.
All right, let me give you the real winner this weekend. Bucs O-line says Mitch Farnsworth. I agree. The Bucs O-line was fantastic this weekend. The biggest winner from this weekend, Lamar Jackson, no doubt. Lamar Jackson loses this game. Lamar Jackson starts off 0-3 just like Peyton Manning did. 0-3 just like Peyton Manning did. Man, the narrative with that. Can he win big games? Well, not really. He's 0-3. Can you win big games? No, not even in the regular season. I mean, lose to big teams in the regular season too. Still haven't beat Kansas City yet. But this past weekend, Lamar Jackson showed why he was the MVP. He showed why a running quarterback can work in the National Football League. Lamar Jackson was the biggest winner from this weekend, not only for the Baltimore Ravens, but for himself mentally. And this is going to catapult Baltimore potentially to the AFC title game. Honestly, I think they're a dark horse to potentially make the Super Bowl. I think the Ravens are that good. Wouldn't be surprised if they beat everybody in the AFC and the NFC. Lamar Jackson, biggest winner from this weekend. Who, as a team, Mitch, was the biggest winner from this weekend?
as a team, I want to say the Browns, but it has to be the Rams, right? The Rams go down a quarterback who was a financial risk analyst, I believe, last season.
No doubt.
Still had a LinkedIn. Pretty badass, if you ask me. Gets hurt in the first series, and then you put a quarterback in who was limited in practice after thumb surgery, and you still go and beat the Seahawks in Seattle. I thought that was. I'm not going to use my hometown bias here. I'm going to say it had to have been the Rams.
Yeah, I don't want to
ask anybody. Yeah. A lot of people thought Seattle was going to run away with that game.
You're 100% right. The Rams, and we have 2 comments coming in. Chad says, I would be terrified to play the Ravens right now. Me too. And help me pronounce this game name because you know who it is.
That's Gianni.
Gianni, because I've heard his name. I've heard you guys say his name a lot before. He came in and said, yeah, baby, Rams all the way. You know what? The Rams are so impressive right now that it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. When me and you were talking about the Rams before the show today, you were like, do you know who's playing quarterback this Sunday? I said, no, I don't. I don't need to know because I believe in Sean McVay and what the Rams are doing. And when you have that good of a defense, I've watched Trent Dilfer go to the Super Bowl. I've watched Matt Hasselbeck go to the Super Bowl. I've watched Joe Flacco win one. I watched Eli Manning win 2 Super Bowls. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a great defense behind you and you don't make a ton of mistakes, you can win a lot of games. You can win a lot of games. I like the Rams. Man, that's going to be a heck of a game. And it was a hell of a game the Rams played this past week, and I think that they had the best team performance because I think them going into Seattle with no quarterback was more difficult than Cleveland going into Pittsburgh. Even with the history behind it, I still think the Rams had a tougher task. And
Aaron Donald left the game. Aaron Donald also left the game in the second half too, and they still put their stamp on that game.
He did, but he also came back to the game later on, so it is good that he's not going to be out or miss any time. Mom coming in and saying the Browns, Mom, you make a good case for the Browns. You make a good case when you beat your rival. Well, when you beat your rival twice in 8 days, and your rival doesn't even consider you a rival, it's a very big 8 days for you, and it's probably 8 of the more impressive days in Browns history. I say, Mitch. Browns.
Oh, it's the
Browns history.
Most impressive game of my life. In my lifetime? Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
That's the most impressive game I've ever seen them play.
It is, and I'm going to sleep very so softly, knowing that women in Pittsburgh are still screaming, and so are the men, and those are ridiculous screams. It makes me feel good. But Mitch, it's time for your afternoon headlines. Let's roll it.
Well, Jordan, there wasn't a lot of action to talk about that we haven't already touched, but there was some news in the NFL, and the Philadelphia Eagles have fired Doug Peterson, their head coach, just 3 years removed after winning the Super Bowl over the Patriots. Jordan, is this the right or wrong move?
It's the right move. I've said it for weeks now that you had to get him out of there. You had to get him out of there because regardless of what Carson Wentz was doing, a lot of his decisions made no sense at all. The team is no longer bought into him. You already know you're going to have to rebuild. Getting Doug Peterson out of Philly is the first step of their rebuilding process. The next will be, can you get Carson Wentz off your books? It's not just Doug Peterson. There's a lot going wrong in Philly, but he's certainly one of the main reasons why. The question is, Mitch, would you think Doug Peterson's going to get picked up?
Jordan, I think Doug Peterson all of a sudden has become the top head coaching candidate for the other 6 vacancies. There were 6 already. Now there's 7. I think Doug Peterson will be picked up as a head coach. You already saw that the Dallas Cowboys, I believe, hired Dan Quinn from the former Atlanta Falcons head coach. So that is somebody I thought may get another chance, but I do think Doug Peterson is now one of the top, if not the top head coaching candidates in all of the NFL. Do you feel that same way?
I do. I mean, if you're going to hire Dan Quinn as your defensive coordinator, a coach that, continued to give up he's given up some of the most fourth quarter comebacks of all time. Terrible hire by the Cowboys, by the way. Terrible hire. I don't like Doug Peterson as a head coach because I don't like his decision making. I don't like his ability to talk to the media. Talking to the media as a head coach is a very undervalued skill. It allows your team to keep composure, gives your team some identity. When you think of Kevin Stefanski, what do you think? That team's buttoned up. When you think of Mike Tomlin, you think buttoned. Like, there's certain coaches, they exude this your team's identity, right? And
Yep.
I don't like that if I'm any team being coached by Doug Peterson, to be completely honest with you. But he is a Super Bowl coach, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. Who knows?
Is he though? I mean, he had Big Dick Nick as his quarterback.
He did, and he had Frank Wright, who
Frank Wright.
That team almost went into Buffalo, and I'm not gonna lie to you, they should have won that game. But, yeah, go ahead, keep rolling.
Jordan, let's talk about a NFL franchise now that is actually looking for a head coach. That is the Houston Texans, and not top 5 quarterback Deshaun Watson, who apparently is frustrated with the Texans after not being consulted on their GM hire. And Jordan, a little behind the scenes story, the Houston Texans hired a firm to help find a general manager. The firm recommended a GM, and the Houston Texans just decided, to hell with that, we're going to go hire Nick Caserio from New England, disregarded the recommendation, and then didn't even ask or consult with their franchise quarterback. Rumors are swirling now he wants out of Houston. So 1, does Deshaun Watson have a right to be pissed? And 2, will he force his way out of Houston? He does have a no-trade clause that he would have to waive to certain destinations.
Deshaun Watson, you need to know that you're an employee for a company. You're an employee. You're not the boss. So you don't call the shots. It would be nice if your owner came to you and you guys worked together, but this isn't the NBA, and you necessarily don't have that power, and you really shouldn't have that power. Could you be upset? Yeah, you should be upset if your owner did come to you, which is Cal McNair, and he told you that he would consult you. And if he didn't consult you, I'd be upset. But if he's upset just because he wasn't consulted and that didn't happen beforehand, Mitch, then I don't like that he's coming out and saying that. But I don't get that vibe from Deshaun Watson. I am actually a huge Deshaun Watson fan, not just the football player, but the guy he is off the field. I love listening to him in press conferences and everything like that. So I tend to believe him. He is like 4 years. He just signed a 4-year, $40 million contract a year. He's not going anywhere. They're not letting him go. And they shouldn't.
If he is to force his way out, which there's a lot of, sources that think that it will happen, where do you think Deshaun Watson could end up?
Man, that's it's a good question. Where could Deshaun Watson end up? Well, he probably wouldn't be traded to an AFC team, right?
At least not in the AFC South, I would guess.
Exactly. And most likely not in the AFC, period. So it would be a team over in the NFC. I don't know. I haven't really broken that down yet. There's a couple teams that would make sense in the AFC. I just don't think that he's going to get traded in the AFC. So I feel like they're either going to wait this out, or they're not going to just trade him, period. I don't think they're going to trade him. I think they'll get it figured out.
And you did mention his contract. He did sign a 4-year, $156 million contract extension with $73,717,000 guaranteed at signing.
It's pretty
so
good.
It's a hefty contract to trade. Jordan, 2 NFC favorites would be the Washington football team and the San Francisco 49ers.
Ooh. Man, I would really like, him in San Francisco. Wow, with Kyle Shanahan. That would be a match made in heaven. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, all he needs is a Brian Hoyer level quarterback. I mean, he took the Browns. Browns were 7-3 at one point with Brian Hoyer. Uh-huh. So if he can get a quarterback, especially that can move around, he's a really good coach. And I thought he did a really good job in San Fran this year, despite the 49ers record, just because of all the injuries they had to battle through.
I agree. Jordan, we'll go to the NBA where there's a lot of drama now, and all of a sudden, a lot of COVID cases popping up, which has posed the question, should the NBA suspend the season for a little bit, potentially move back to a bubble? Do you think that, the season should be suspended? And if so, do you think a bubble is the answer for the NBA, or the teams that are allowing their players to go out should be at fault and have to forfeit if they can't play?
Yeah, man, this is tough. It's tough because you're getting into that. that realm of like, everybody has different like morals, right, about this. Like, you should wear a mask because I have a grandma or grandpa. You should think about them. You know what I mean? So the NBA is in a really tricky spot. They're in a really tricky spot because they're a business first and foremost. Okay, they're a business, and so how do you continue to run your business, do it as safe as possible, but also allow your players to believe in what you're doing, like that, like things are going to be run safely. The NBA, you talked about this earlier. The NBA and the NFL are two completely different places. The NFL is going to run no matter what happens. Vietnam 3 could happen right now. We would still be seeing NFL games. No games are getting canceled, okay? There's going to be no canceled for anything, any public matters that happen in the world. You know what I mean? You remember when some of the NBA games got canceled because of some of the social justice issues, which I had no problem with. That's not why I'm bringing that up. I'm bringing that up because that would never happen in the NFL. No. It would never happen because of the bottom dollar. And honestly, it's hard to say I'm not showing up to work today because I have more important things to do other than my job, the thing that pays my bills. So I don't think there's a right answer. And it's tough because Silver, he's going to have a really tough decision to make, Mitch. And I don't think the players are going to buy into a second bubble. I think you have to just forfeit games if you don't have enough players. I would rather... The Philadelphia 76ers played with 7 guys the other night. They played with 7 guys. Now, you would say, well, Jordan, that's God's perfect number in the Bible. Well, guess what? Wasn't the perfect number for the Philadelphia 76ers. It is unsafe to have players playing with 7 people. This isn't the YMCA. Mm-hmm. This isn't a rec league, Mitch. How do you...
Friends?
It's not a J Friends league. How do you feel about that? Do you think there should be... Do you think 7 is enough to play a game?
Jordan, a couple of years ago, we watched Alabama play with 3. So
we did with Colin Sexton, a Cleveland Cavalier leaving.
They still almost won. It's crazy because I don't know what it is in the NFL. So I mean, and we're not going to go there. But I mean, in baseball, you can still play with 8 guys. If something ever happened, you play with 2 outfielders. I guess I would say 7 has to be. I think personally the NBA you should have at least 8, but I thought it was a little bit wrong for them to send the Sixers out there the other night, especially because we've seen as Browns fans and as COVID outbreak has happened, some guys don't test positive for the first 5 days.
No,
some guys that are sick test negative and are sick for 4 or 5 days and then have COVID, aka Myles Garrett this year. So who's to say that the NBA didn't hurt themselves, which so far they haven't, but you could have sent somebody out there that didn't test positive, and then boom, he's positive after the game, and now, the Denver Nuggets have it. And so I would have rather seen them cancel the game than try to force them to play with 7 guys. I think that was the wrong message, and so far they're lucky it didn't hurt them yet because it could have really hurt them with positive cases.
No doubt. So there's 2 things. One, they just can't, they're not going to forfeit the games because they're not going to lose out on that revenue share, right? They're not going to do it, which makes things very, very dangerous, I feel like, for some of these NBA players. Not necessarily health-wise, but psyche-wise, because, a lot of these players don't even want to play. I mean, there was, Avery Bradley didn't want to play for the Lakers, and his team had a chance to win the championship, right? So, yeah. It's tough. I'm curious to see how Adam Silver is going to figure this out. The NBA players are a lot different than, there aren't many Chris Pauls in the league anymore. When I say Chris Paul guys, I mean guys who are really like old school dudes. Like Chris Paul is old school, right? Like he's tough as hell. And that's not what the NBA is. The NFL, still really tough. The NBA, it feels like they have a lot of divas, a lot of wide receivers, out there, a lot of players who just aren't showing up for games because they just don't want to. Kyrie Irving, and so the NBA is going to be. It's just much harder, anyways. But I will say this: college football did not have one serious illness, and they got through an entire season. Okay, so it's definitely possible to get through. They need to figure out something though, because things are going to change, and they need to be ahead of the curve. But they did a great job last year with the bubble. Curious to see. Sorry, that was a little long-winded. I feel like we needed to dive into that, though, because I think that's so it's very complicated. It's very multi-leveled.
I agree. And here's the thing. With college football being over now, for those our listeners, we'll be diving into college basketball more and NBA more because now that is now second in what's going on right now. And then once the NFL playoffs are over, that's going to be the only thing we really have to talk about that has significant importance when it comes to covering balls. So, Jordan, two more things, and we'll stick with a former NBA player. First off, did you know Dennis Rodman had a daughter? Because I did.
I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm sure he has many daughters. Well, how many kids does Dennis Rodman have?
I don't know, but we're just going to talk about this one that we do know that is his, Trinity, who registered for the Women's Soccer League draft. So just a round of applause for Trinity Rodman.
Yeah, Trinity Rodman. Okay, let me find the applause here. Here we go. Congratulations, Trinity. I'm sure it was a huge weekend for you. Huge.
From Washington State. You know, it was just pretty big news if it's on the actual headlines and you look under somewhere. I figure we should talk about it. And Jordan, finally, in non-sports balls news, we talked about Kanye West and Kim Kardashian splitting up. Well, now we know why. Apparently, Kanye West was having an affair with Jeffree Star.
Hey, you know what? To each their own. To each their own. If Kanye wants to go out there and do Kanye things, who are we to stop Kanye from doing that? Yeah, that's really what it comes down to, Mitch.
And those are this afternoon's headlines.
Well, Mitch, we're going to get into our final segment of the show. This has been a little shorter show. Guys, remember, if you haven't liked or subscribed to this show yet, please do so. We are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you can't watch us live, just watch us after the show's over. The show's usually on an hour after it airs, from 4 to 5:15, or a little longer if we go. So, Mitch, let's get into our favorite segment of the show, our last segment.
Who has bigger balls?
Who has bigger balls, Mitch? Is it Kyrie Irving for not showing up to the game the other night for the Brooklyn Nets? And when Steve Nash asked about where Kyrie Irving was, Steve Nash said, "You'll have to ask Kyrie. I don't know where he is." Kyrie just didn't show up to a game the other night, and now he's not showing up to another one because of personal reasons. Or is it Chase Claypool / Juju Smith-Schuster for talking all that shit and not backing it up?
Corvette, hop in a motherfucking jet lag jet. Sorry, just it's really catchy. You know, Juju really got it going.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, listen, Juju said what he said, and we've seen players say things before games, and it bites them in the ass. And Steelers got what they deserved. Chase Claypool, like I said, is a baby back bitch. Not showing up to do your job just because, in quotes, I didn't want to. Usually doesn't go over well. With your boss, Jordan, I'm not sure I could wake up tomorrow and just not clock in for work. And if my boss asked me where I am, I just said didn't want to work. But apparently when you're Kyrie Irving, you just don't feel like playing. It's okay. Kyrie Irving has bigger balls. I don't know what is up. He has sand somewhere where it shouldn't be. I don't know what his issue is. If he's mad that someone disproved that the earth is not flat. Maybe he's struggling because he thought he had somebody clutch on the team and he gave the ball to Kevin Durant when it should have gone to Joe Harris.
Yeah. Brett coming in off the comments saying Kyrie fell off the edge of this flat earth. It's true. Keep going, Mitch. I'm sorry.
It's very true. I just don't, Kyrie, you have big balls, and I don't know what to say about that. I mean, he's got bigger balls. He's a bitch.
He is. Brandon coming in and saying, what about golf? Thought you covered all the balls. Brandon, we do cover all the balls. Expect to hear us talk about all the majors and talk about them in depth. Who has bigger balls? Mitch, who has bigger balls? Let me tell you who has bigger balls.
Yeah.
It's Kyrie Irving. Okay. Who does this? He's doing like, what are they, seances before the game, saying the earth's flat. He's gone off the deep end. Nick Wright said 4 weeks ago when I was watching First Things First, he said, the Nets have a Kyrie Irving problem. They just don't know it yet. And, man, do they have a Kyrie Irving problem. When you go to 4 different places and every place you go to, there's a problem, maybe it's you and not the places you're going to. Maybe
it couldn't.
Maybe Cleveland's not the problem. Maybe you are. Maybe Boston's not the problem. Maybe you are. Maybe Brooklyn's not the problem. Maybe you are. Kyrie Irving, you, my friend, have the biggest Sports Balls of the Week. Guys, we appreciate you coming in for, is this episode 16, Mitch? Is this what this was?
Yep, not 15, but 16.
But 16. We appreciate you coming in for episode 16 of Cover Your Balls. If you haven't subscribed or liked this show or this video, go ahead and do so. You can leave us a review on Spotify, iTunes. We'd appreciate you, all the feedback. We appreciate the ones who stayed with us through the show, asked the questions, who stayed with us to the end. We love you. We respect you. Cleveland Browns are still in the playoffs. Corvette. That's Mitchell Bala. Well, no, I got to go this way. Nope, that was right. Nope, whatever. That's Mitchell Bala. I'm Jordan McKelly. We're out of here.